Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're the CET team, our group. We work for the CET, we call it the Cut Brew Beer Lab. Guys, turn around. Yes. So we brew from the Faculty of Environmental Affairs in the dungeon. We brew in the dungeon because we like to hide away from everyone, because then if you're easily accessible, people feel like they can always, pop in and ask for a beer. So that's why we brew in the dungeon. Apologies for the technical problems there, but I'll get right into it. If you look on the screen, then you will see our team. Unfortunately, minus one. One of our team members on picture day was not feeling well, but she's right there. So this is the brewing team. On the far end, we have Ms. Manehe. She's doing her PhD in biomedical technology. Interestingly, she doesn't drink. Yes, she doesn't drink, but she's a very good cook, so which is why we thought we might use her ability to taste on the team. And next to her, we have Ms. Mahauta. Troy? Ms. Mahauta? Yes. Master's student in environmental health sciences. And with the spectacles there, our blind mouse, that's Mr. Leshonolo Kanya. He's a PhD student in microbiology. And next to me, we have Ms. Mpho Malefane, a master's student in environmental health sciences. And then there's me, the alcoholic in the group. When you walk into our faculty, and this is how you know that you are in the right place. If you come across a door with beer stickers on it, then you know you have reached the beer lab. And the reason we have all those stickers there is at the beginning of the year, because some of us didn't have much experience with different styles of beers, the first thing we had to do was, okay, let's buy different beers and taste how they differ from one another, right? So these are some of the stickers from some of our favorite beers. So we felt that we needed to keep them on the door to remind us of all the amazing beers that we tasted as a team, as a tasting experience. Now, let's get right into it. We used to brew in a cooler box. Like every home brewer starts there with a makeshift cooler box. And we would like to thank Laminin Paints, because as of last year, they donated this Democraft equipment for us. So our cooler box had to take a back seat. Then we upgraded to the Democraft. And I must say that the temperature control on this baby is much better, and we can sparge. So our efficiencies went, I think, from around 60 to 80. So that was a really big improvement on our system. And then the cooling system. So at the beginning, to cool the beers, we used a copper coil that's inserted into the beer, one end connected to the cold water tap, and then on the other end, that would go to the waste, right? That used a lot of water, a ton of water. So eventually, our mentor, we came up. Hi, mentor, how are you? We're good, thank you so much. Yes, I can't name our mentor, but yeah. The idea was that system of connecting the coil to the running water, it wasted a lot of water. And that's not good for the environment. And we know that we have experienced some water shortages in the past. So we decided, how can we make this cooling process a bit more efficient? So we use a pump that's usually used for the sprinkler systems. So what we do now is we connect that pump to the tap. So we use about 20 liters of cold water from the tap, and then we put ice in the cooler box, so that the water that runs from the coil, from the beer, it goes into the cooler box, it's cooled by the ice in the cooler box, and then it recirculates. So it means then, at the end of the day, instead of wasting, I'm approximating here, probably 60 or 80 liters of water, we went from that to just 20 liters. And that 20 liters doesn't really count as waste because then we use that hot water for cleaning. So it was just our way of being, environmentally conscious because we work with environmental practitioners. So we had to be environmentally conscious. Thank you. Yes. Oh, okay. And the yeast that we used were donated by Lalemant. Hi, Jack. How are you? Good, thanks. In the past, we would use some of the liquid yeast that we would sometimes have to buy from our yeast supplier here in Bloemfontein, Liquid Culture. But as of this year, Jack and team, they donated some of the dried yeast. So obviously with the dried yeast, before you actually pitch your yeast into your wort, you have to rehydrate the yeast so that by the time, I'm guessing, well, Jack thinks it's debatable, but Jack, I'm gonna say you have to rehydrate it. Take it from me. Yes, so that's just the yeast rehydration process. Just to ensure that we minimized chances of contamination on our beer and with the yeast, we just wear gloves, sanitize, 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 and if you're not sure, sanitize again, right? Yes. Thank you. I'll hand over to the rest of my team to carry on.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, we're still on the equipment. All right. So with the challenges and opportunities, I just wanted to point it out that each and every challenge that was presented to us or that we encountered, it presented an opportunity for us to learn as a group, because I think majority of us were still first-time provers. In the later presentation, I think everyone is going to present on different beers. Everyone was given each style of beer for them to prepare. So when you look at every one of us, we were once brew chef and head brews for our style of beers for all of the style brews that were presented that we all entered. If you look at the picture there, there's two pictures. We got the surprise of our lives every time when we were about to go and bottle. So when you look at the left picture, that when we were still doing the Katarina Sour, when we were about to bottle, we realized that was a huge contamination that we encountered there. So it hindered us from bottling whatever that we were supposed to do. And when you look in the right picture, that was the saison that we're doing. And after we had to do the, what? Yeah, after doing that, we encountered another one that the saison. So what happened with the saison, we were about to do dry hopping, and then we realized that we did encounter contamination in that as well. So from those were the first attempts that you're looking at, all the beers that we've done, and then from those two attempts, we realized that we have to be very, very effective in what we do and have to learn from all our mistakes, from all of the beer style that we had to do. What you're looking at now, before we started to do, because I'm looking at other groups that you guys have fancy equipment. When you go to our dungeon, we don't have fancy equipment. We had to use an aircon for us to control the temperature there. That's way before we got the temperature probe, the thermostat, where we had to do everything in the freezer. When you look there at there's a picture that shows that one of the temperature probe actually broke down, and we had to estimate that that's pretty much around, I'm not sure if you guys seeing 16.1 or 15.1, but that's pretty much 15.1 from where we're seeing it from our side. Oh yeah, and from the from the thing, what? Yeah, from the dungeon though we were doing our brewing and stuff. We were all, the institution was so, um, the institution presented us with giving us the new building for us to do all our brewing. If you look at the picture on the left, that was on the 2021 when the building was actually handed over to our lab for CAPSEP in order for us to start brewing. But all of that was still to be enjoyed because we still yet to move into the new building of our new lab. But hopefully, 2023, we will have all that fancy equipment. We'll have all of those equipment that you guys are talking about, the wart and whatnot. So basically, that's all that we have to do with that from our side. So from the peer perspective, on all the peers that we all have to prepare, every one of us is going to present all of the styles that we had to prepare, all of us individually. As I said earlier on, we had to be the head of your own brewing style. What you're seeing now is just your low alcohol summer beer. This baby right here, it was named La Saison Dernière. So basically meaning the last season. If you basically know that the actual word for saison, it's season. So we named that La Saison de Dernière. So basically meaning this was the final one because after so many attempts, we really had to submit one beer for the competition. So basically, this was the baby for us. So everyone just had to look out for that beer style for all of us from the group. Okay, thank you. So,
Is it me? It is me. It's a brown IPA.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we have our brown IPA, which we named Ebony. So Ebony is our specialty beer that is characterized by its moderately strong fresh hop aroma. And here's a fun fact. So we actually brewed our beer on National IPA Day, so that's interesting. So for our beer, we used the Kveik Ale East to brew our beer. And for the hops, we used the Chinook hops, which gave the beer a spicy and piney characteristic that transfer through into the flavor and aroma. So for the malt, we used the Clear Choice malt, wheat malt, chocolate malt, and the Caramunic malt, which gave the beer a chocolatey, caramelly flavor with a sweet, subtle, toasty note. So the alcohol volume for the beer is 6.72, and the sensory result for the beer is medium-high bitterness with a hoppy, malty flavor. Thank you. It's the lager.
I am sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I heard that everyone was shocked that I don't drink. I think I've drank the most alcohol this year in my entire life, which is literally every now and then. This morning I tasted something and my stomach was just going and I said, okay. But I am happy to say, even though you don't drink, you can still give your inputs and brew a beautiful beer. We brewed for this year a dark European lager, and I'm proud to say that is one of the best beers. But because it's brewed by me, it is the best beer, and they agree it is the best beer ever. Buleng vowed to stop drinking if it wins, so please. So with our dark beer, it has a caramelly sense that really when you open it, is the first thing that hits you. That's the one thing that I said to them, for me, it gives you, instead of beer that just says no, don't, you actually want to smell it and you want to drink it. The caramel calms you down, and I hope you get to enjoy it tomorrow, and please give me your feedback on the non-alcoholic person. Thank you.
It's me. Hi, everyone. My name is Paul Malefane, and I was like the brew master for the summer beer. And I call this brew session like a roller coaster brewing session because we started off with like 2 fruits, the berry and the mango. Both of them did not go so well, but the berry definitely went worse. And then we had to like go back to the drawing board and decide maybe the mango might be a winning ingredient. But yeah, we brewed a Catarina sour beer. It's one of the sour beers originating in Brazil. And we used fresh mango pieces. And we pasteurized them through boiling. This style of beer is very, I must say, I was not very experienced with sour beers. I didn't know that people can like drink and enjoy sour beers. But this mango flavored Catarina sour beer is very similar to if anybody has ever had a mango goji, brutal fruit, back when it was, yes, that flavor. There's no goji berries though, but the flavor is there, and it's one of the, I think, one of the best things about it. And we use the Philly sour yeast that we got from Wild Brew. Yes, thank you. It was very important that we use the Philly sour because of its characteristics. We don't have to add lab into the brew, which might risk contamination. The ABV of the sour beer is 3.83%, which is, pretty low, but I mean, it drops a lot of things, your jaws mainly, because it's very sour. And the name of the beer is Goji Jaw Dropper, and it's amazing. You should try it. Thank you.
And for the final beer, obviously, yeah. Where do I start with this one? We wanted to mimic a Flanders Red, but without using the yeast. So what did we use? We used kombucha SCOBY. Because, yes, I know, right? Thing is, in the product development lab, in addition to making the beer, I'm also in charge of making the kombucha. So we make the kombucha using the SCOBY. So sometimes we have to trim the SCOBY and throw it away. So we're trying to go green here. I mean, come on. We saved water, so now let's try and save the SCOBY. So we figured, what kind of beer could we get if we use the SCOBY in the fermentation process? And remember, I did mention that we used to buy different styles of beer just to get what different styles of beer taste like. So when we tasted the Flanders Red, we thought, perhaps the SCOBY could work for this. So our wort is a base. It follows the basic style for a Flanders Red. The only difference there is for the fermentation profile. There's no yeast at all. We only use the SCOBY. But because our SCOBY is so acclimatized to the kombucha, we had to slowly feed the wort into it to avoid shocking the SCOBY. You know, you don't want it to go, ah! What's happening? Yeah. So we would draw out like 3 liters of kombucha, replace that with 3 liters of wort over time. So I can safely say this was the most expensive beer that we made. Looking at the ingredients, because the first one didn't go so well, the man hours that were spent on this, and yeah, we had to taste every second day just to see, is it ready for adjustment or not? And to top it up, the beer was missing the fruity character that is usually evident in the Flanders red. So what did we do? We bought muscadel grapes. These are usually used in wine, but then we figured, you know what, they might work with the beer. So we blended the muscadel grapes, added them to this beer after secondary fermentation. The final product was amazing. And then came bottling time. We did not have a filter. So now we have this challenge of muscadel grapes floating around in the beer, but we want to bottle this. And because we were out of time, we couldn't let it bottle carbonate. We had to carbonate in the keg. If you know what a kegerator, it has that spear that goes into the kegerator, which is very small. We blocked it. Well, we actually blocked 2. Yeah, so when I tell you this was an expensive beer and it was a very good experience, we know that if you're going to use grapes in your beer, make sure that either one, don't do it. If you're going to insist on doing it, please bottle carbonate. Because if you try to carbonate in your kegerator, you're going to end up with blocked spears. But the end result is this is the most amazing beer that you're going to taste. And guess what the name is? Cutthroat. Because it's so sour. When you taste it, that sourness, you just go, oh! But then, just like we went through the tasting exercise today, if you take a big gulp, then that sourness, it nicely balances with the flavor from the muscadel grapes. And it's the best sour beer that you're gonna taste. So, yeah, besides yours. Okay, it's the second best tasting sour beer. Happy? Okay, cool. So come taste that at our stall tomorrow. Yeah, we have a few bottles left. And thank you so much for your attention. Ra leboha. Dankie.